This is the fourth and final part to creating a massive Facebook group or Facebook community, whatever you want to call it. Let's get right into it. My name is Tristan Ahumada, and I am a Fortune 500 consultant. I also have an amazing Facebook community. We run the largest Facebook community for real estate agents across the world. And so this is the final part, and this is probably the best part. I'm going to show you how to monetize your community. And so before I get into that, I really want to touch on this section, and that's growth. I don't know if we touched on it as much as I wanted to before. So I want to tell you here, let's talk about it. So growth has been for us more organic than anything else. And when it comes to growth, I've broken it down into 4 sections. There are more sections, but these are the 4 that I want to focus on, plus one more that I don't have on here. And organically, if you want to connect with what people need. So the way that we grew in Lab Coat Agents as our community is by giving content and giving valuable content to the community that we were focusing on. And so what I mean by that is always coming from a point of education, doing interviews with other influencers, doing interviews with companies that could help out our community. And so what happened is other people started inviting other people in because what we were talking about was relevant, right? It was relevant, and then we brought in experts, which goes into number 2. And what happens then is they make it look like you're amazing. So let's say we bring in the most amazing real estate agents from New York, from Florida, from California, Washington, all over the place. All of a sudden, that's the place they're going to because we're bringing them there. And people get used to that. And they're like, oh, we have to go onto Lab Coat Agents because they're always going to bring the heat. And so that's what we started doing. We started bringing in people like Gary Vaynerchuk and Ryan Serhant and so many other amazing people. And then number 3, create an email list and engage with people through Messenger as well. This really helped us grow to another level. So we figured this out a little bit later. And that was the fact that when we started bringing in the email aspect to this, our webinars and our Facebook Live started growing a lot more. And so at the very beginning, when we're asking people to join the community, this is where we're asking them to please leave their email address or register into our newsletter so that we can let them know when we have a webinar, when we have any events, when we have anything. Really, it re-engages them outside of Facebook, right? And that's where we capture all that rich information, and we can keep on coming back. So we're going to go to number 4 here on my list. And what happens is we put some money behind our videos and posts, and all of a sudden, people started looking at us a different way. Why? Because we started engaging them outside of our community. They started seeing us on Facebook and Instagram and other blogs. And because we were creating this audience that was outside of just Facebook, people are like, whoa, these people are everywhere. Right? And it kept on reminding them that we were doing great things, right? Which all goes back to the very first one, right? And that's growing organically the way we did it through value and giving back to our real estate agent community, what it is that they were looking for and they weren't getting anywhere else. So we approached it through education and giving them systems and processes. And you can do the same thing with your community, whatever it is that you're building out. It's important to note, though, that there was another level of growth that I didn't mention here. And that's what I would put in as number 5 from this list. And that's when we started collaborating with other influencers. What we noticed is that they had their own niche of followers. They had their own following, their own tribe. And then when we would collaborate, they would bring in their tribe to connect with our tribe. And now we would kind of mesh, and they would learn about us, and our tribe would learn about that influencer. And that helped us grow to a whole nother level. So what I would suggest is you start looking at other possible influencers or other people that can help that have a different community than you do that can also value your community, so they'd be interested in taking a look at what you're doing. That to us was super helpful as well. So let me get into the next one, which leads me into monetization. I think that's what you were waiting for. All right, and I'm gonna have to share a slide with you here to show you. But we originally were leaning towards affiliates, and we're like, well, we have such a large audience and we're using these amazing products in real estate. Why not expose it to the audience that we have and show them how we're using the product? But more importantly, go out to this company and say, hey, we're going to be doing this. Can we create an affiliate program where if we sign up a certain amount of people, we also get paid based on that, right? So we started doing that. Then we started holding events, right, where we would charge people to come to our events. We would just pack it with amazing information, with influencers and people that could bring in some amazing value as well. And then we gravitated to eventually ads and sponsorships. What happened here was that because we noticed we were driving so many people to products, they wouldn't always sign up when we were driving them there. And that was the challenge. We couldn't track where they were coming from, because let's say 6 months they decided to sign up for a product we were talking about, but they didn't sign up through us. And that to me was a challenge. So I said, well, why can't we shift away from that affiliate model and maybe charge some companies a certain amount of money per month to expose them to our audience and do webinars with them and show people what's happening. As long as a product is good and we've tested it out and it's doing good for us, then we feel comfortable presenting that to our audience. And then that's how we've rolled since then. But there's a part two to this in monetization, and you've got to look at it like this. There's other opportunities here. One of that is membership. I've seen some communities go to the membership side where it's monthly or yearly. And one example that comes to mind is the I think it's called Power Hitters Club. And that one is led by this person who creates amazing Facebook ads, and they're showing you how to do that. They have a community on Facebook and one outside of Facebook, and there's a membership fee. There's that. And then there's also products where you can actually create your own product, whether it's software or an actual product that you sell. And then I'll show you a little bit as to how that works. And then ultimately, buyout and or ownership. This is something that's not talked about as much. But as you start growing and you become even more amazing and you have a larger community, what happens is some of these startups, some of these smaller companies start coming up to you and asking for help and saying, hey, what would it look like if we work together and you then present me to your audience after you've tested out our product and you see that it works? And maybe we'll give you a piece of our company, maybe 5%, 10%, or 15 or 20 or whatever. Then you start gaining momentum off of some other product that you didn't really create, but you're helping them grow and they're giving you a piece for that. That's an option. And then the other one is buyout. Some people will see your group or community as something that's amazing, as long as you've built it out in different verticals, right? Not just in Facebook, but you have a website and you have a podcast and you have other things that I got into before. When you created a brand and you created a company out of this, then at that point, somebody can come in and say, okay, show me your numbers, show me what you're doing, and I want to offer you some money to either buy you out or invest in it and help you grow. That's another option as well that isn't talked about a lot. And I want to show you one thing too. If you're thinking of creating a company out of this, I definitely encourage you to get an attorney, get a CPA, and then obviously hire employees. If you can't afford one, get a VA. Virtual assistants are everywhere and they're really easy. And more importantly, create an org chart so that you understand how your growth looks, what your vision is, what your mission is. It'll just clear everything out from the very beginning. And then what I like to call is outside of Facebook, because at the end of the day, If you've built your community on Facebook, you don't know how long Facebook is going to be around. It may be around forever. It may not be, right? So you've got to start thinking, well, what can I do? And I'm going to show you right here some things that we've done. You can see here, this is one website that we built. It's called Lab Code Agents, where we have our webinars, where we have other categories. We advertise some companies here, but as you scroll down, you get to see some blogs that we've done, and we also have some ad space. You see here, we've got Espresso Agent, right? And then our friend Travis on this side. We've got more blogs here, and they're written by somebody that we pay, and also from our real estate agent community. So as you scroll down, you see more interaction that's connected to our Instagram account. And then you go here on this side and you can take a look at a company that we teamed up with to help us create this design software, which we call LCA Marketing Center. And when I was talking to you about products, this is what I'm talking about, the opportunity to build things that are amazing. Now we have what we call the Canva for real estate, where you can go on here and design your own items here. See, you can do it for Instagram and a whole bunch of other amazing things. This is specifically for real estate agents, where there's an app as well that we've built. And it's a great thing, but you know, this opportunity wouldn't have come to us if our community wasn't as large, right? And then obviously we also have a podcast. You can see it's called the Lab Code Agents Podcast, where we're on episode 62. We ventured outside again of just Facebook. We have the website, we have a podcast, we have a product, right? And then we have a 4.9 rating. I can't believe that. We should have a 5 rating, but that's okay. People are enjoying it. They're raising. They're enjoying our content. Again, we treat it with the utmost respect. We make sure that we're bringing in high quality people all the time, and it's important that we don't segue away from that. And then you can go to our community here, where you see this is our Facebook community tied to our business page. Our business page only has 20,000 followers, but our community has 120,000, and this is our community. Here we go, 120,000 right there, and it's all mainly real estate agents. But once you start doing that, you've got to think about how you're going to be able to grow this. You've got to treat it like a business. You've got to treat it like you're going to grow, continually grow, and look at what other opportunities there are and where you're going to go next, right? So I suggest at this point, this is where I tell people, this is where you differentiate between a community and a business. Because once you shift out of the just idea that you're just a community and you're only on Facebook, or you're only a blog, or you're only this, you're really limiting the ability to grow. And remember that you're a brand. You just happen to be on Facebook. You just happen to be on wherever you are. And then you start creating different products from it, whether it's on a podcast, whether it's a website, whether it's a blog, and then you start expanding and growing. Just remember, when you do take a venture outside of wherever you're going, you have someone to help you grow that venture, right? That's probably one of the most important things I can tell you, but that's how we've been able to do it. That's how you monetize. Thanks again for joining me. This was the last part to the Facebook community. I hope you enjoyed it. Subscribe, click the bell, do your thing, make me happy.